I do.
You do.
If the question is, please, Frank Shawless.
Good
representing
afternoon,
the
Mr. Shawless.
applicant. If I may preliminarily introduce a few things, save us some time.
Certainly.
First, a paid personal property tax bill.
It's always good. That
And,
was paid yesterday.
yes, sir.
Okay.
And a index of employees,
Right?
which is in mitigation. I know that we were still.
Are there any other preliminary matters?
Well, I've spoken to the inspector, and I think we will stipulate to her report, and then I'd like to make a proffer.
All right. First, I need to understand if you are waiving your right to a full three-member panel, since one of our commissioners has had to leave.
Yes, we'll waive her.
All right, you'll waive your right for the full panel, and we'll proceed en banc. All right. Stipulation, admission with explanation, obviously.
Obviously.
Thank you. We'll hear from Inspector Brooks at this time. Inspector Brooks, you've been sworn.
Yes. Good
Okay.
afternoon, Inspector Karen Brooks, Baltimore City Liquor Board. Just giving a report for 2300 Orem Avenue. I did visit the establishment on Sunday, September the 16th, as a follow-up to a 311 complaint that we received in the office about this location being opened and selling alcoholic beverages on Sundays when the license prohibits such sale. I did send someone in to the establishment upon my arrival. At first, it appeared that the bar was closed. The open sign wasn't turned on and illuminated. And the way the grates was, it didn't look like it was open, but I saw someone exiting the bar. So I sent someone in to make a purchase. They came out with a 6-pack of Coors Light that cost $6. At that time, I went in, identified myself to the cashier, who was Shanae Madison, informed her of the violation, began to document the license information, retained a copy of the receipt. She contacted a Mr. Antonio Willibus on the phone in reference to the employee records, as she didn't have a valid ID. She didn't have any ID at all, and there was no employee records available for her. She was upset. I tried to calm her down and let her know that she herself wasn't in any trouble, that she could calm down, and that, you know, it was basically the management licensee's responsibility to make sure that the store wasn't selling alcohol on Sundays. And she said, oh, so that's why Antonio told me not to turn the open sign on. Took several photographs before I left of the establishment. I took a picture of the open sign, you know, not being on. Took a picture of the license itself with the receipt, because the receipt has a different address on it than the location of the establishment. So I just wanted to make sure it wouldn't come up while we were here today that it was a different location. So, but I have those on my phone if you like to inspect.
All right, thank you very much. Let me ask you, Inspector Brooks, any additions or corrections to your written report
No, sir.
dated Sunday, 9/16/12?
No, sir.
All right, that report is coming into evidence as the agency's first exhibit, unless there's any objection.
No objection.
All right.
And no additions or corrections.
No additions or corrections. Submit with that argument. Okay. And is Shanae Madison here today, Ms.
Not at all.
Brooks? She is not. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And Inspector, anything else from your end? No, sir. All right. Thank you very much.
Your Honor, I can bring testimony, but
Chairman's
I can also
fine.
make a proffer
Okay.
if you wish. And I was a little bit confused. I was advised by my client that this is a place that serves groceries, serves canned foods, milk, bacon, everything, and they have one side for alcohol, one side for groceries. And apparently, he never got permission from the liquor board to divide that off or close it off. And that would be one request we would be making today, if we can do it without filing an application, which I think we can do, because it's simply a matter of running an armed grate. There are 2 windows in the store, and I think the inspector can testify to this. There's a window on the liquor side and a window on the grocery side. And in order to make it a viable business, they have to sell the groceries. And there's some questions whether or not the young lady was confused about selling just the convenience items or the alcohol. Apparently, she just became employed there, and this was actually her first Sunday that she worked. Now, I can bring all this testimony up if you want to hear it all, and of course, you can ask my clients any questions you'd like to, but that's her explanation.
That's his
Of course.
right. I mean, it's his right if he wants to testify, Mr. Shawless.
Only if you
I
want.
won't compel him to.
And also, we have presented the payment for the personal property tax. That was an oversight. Their charter is in good standing. They just didn't pay the tax. It got to it. It was due. Usually they come out and they're payable in sometime in August. They don't come out until the end of the, they're supposed to come out 1st July, but they don't come out till the end. And he understands, and he has so informed me that at one prior point, he was also charged with selling alcohol on a Sunday.
Right.
Which is why we would like permission to solve the problem by installing this grate. And then we agreed to be closed on Sundays. Of course, we don't have to agree. You tell us we've got to, so we will. But if you would allow us, we will be closed on Sunday until such time as the grate is installed and inspected by the agents of the liquor board. But it's hard to make a living these days at anything. And they need this other income too.
I'm a little confused. Do he want to run a grocery store, or do he want to run a liquor establishment?
Well, it's a convenience store. And I'll give you an example. In Baltimore
Wait,
County.
before you give me the example,
Yes,
let's
sir.
talk about Baltimore City.
Yes, sir.
Is there a use permit on file identifying this property as a convenience store with the sale of alcoholic products?
Mr. Jones, Commissioner Jones, I cannot tell you. I will find out, but I really don't know. I don't know
That's
what
what you
the
need to do.
use- I will.
All right, anything else?
And, well, I would also point out to the board that they were closed for 4 days already, and then assessing any fine or other.
They were closed 4 days as a result of a separate violation?
No, they were closed 4 days. The license was taken out. They've been closed.
For the last hearing.
Oh, okay,
They didn't show it.
okay. All right, thank you.
Explanation for why he didn't show up last time.
I'd like to hear it.
Yeah, he tried to get a postponement because he had hurt his back. Today, he had great difficulty getting out of the chair today. But, I mean, that's not really next.
And all we need is somebody to transcribe, somebody to send us a fax. That's all we need.
Had I known, I would.
Let me just ask you this. The employee records are now available,
That's what will be in the store. at
but
all
they weren't
times.
available at that time?
That is correct.
Okay. The personal property taxes are now cleared, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, anything else?
Yes, sir, that would be.
All right. All right, we're going to go ahead and go to decision phase. All right, decision phase, October 25th, 2012. Andre Willibus, Carlos Mason, and Tanya Mason, Harrison and Mason LLC, trading as Orem Liquors, 2300 Orem Avenue. This is an A license. There's several violations, and it's important to note this is an A license. This is a 6-day license. Mr. Shawless appeared along with Andre Willibus and Miss Mason. Inspector Brooks filed a report, which is now in evidence as the agency's first exhibit. There was really no cross-examination of Inspector Brooks. There was no contradicting that which she said. Counsel has done a fine job as to explaining, I hope, the law to his clients. We, based on a preponderance of the evidence, certainly determined that there was a violation of 2B 11303A1, that is selling on Sunday with a license that does not permit such sales. Based upon the report and corroboration by Inspector Brooks and the admission by the licensee. The violation of Rule 303C, no employee records, they're now presented. Yeah, that's a $100 fine. The 2B 10301J1 charge, because you have paid your personal property taxes, that charge is dismissed at this time. That leaves us with the Sunday sale, which was obvious, and quite frankly, it was insulting, because part of this testimony that I never heard any contradiction of it was that that's why boss told me not to turn on the open sign. They were trying to get one over on us. And the record reflects that last summer, he did the same thing. He sold on Sunday. He also got caught with video poker and got fined $1,000 last July 21st, 2011. Came before us this summer, June 28th, 2012. What for? Selling without a license. Hadn't paid and renewed his license at that time. So another illegal sale outside of the licensed sale. He also, at that time, there was also the non-cooperation, where our inspector was yelled at and treated terribly. And what did I say back in July when we suspended you for 3 days and imposed a $1,125 fine? What did I say to the licensee? The other fine that you were here for last year when we fined $1,000 plus costs was for being open on a Sunday, which is a big no-no when you have an A license. Already told you in July, that's a big no-no, and we fined you for that. I continue in the transcript. So we don't want you to just think that you can pay your way out of all this. And that was a basis for a 3-day suspension, and here we are again. And these charges occurred on or about September 16th. They're still fresh. At this point, we find you guilty by a preponderance of the evidence of the Article 2B 11303A1, and we're concerned with the licensee's desire to obey the laws, or it appears to do anything to get around the law. And that concerns the board deeply.
I have, if I may,
You may.
I have spoken to them in depth of this, and I've made a lot of suggestions how this can be avoided in the future. And I'm hoping that the board will, allow them to proceed. I would also ask the board consider that request to put an iron grate between the two sections.
Yeah, I just don't,
And I will.
we're not able to do that today. We're here at a violation hearing. It was a transfer hearing, anything else we could, but we're just not able to deal with that. And you can deal with that with a letter to the board.
I will.
We don't even need to have a hearing for that, quite frankly.
Thank you.
All right, here's where we are. You can't pay your way out of this, Mr. Willibus. You've had a good lawyer here, and he may have saved you from having your license revoked today, because it appears that there is a pattern of flagrant law violating with this establishment. What we are going to do is you're going to have to pay a $1,500 fine on the 11303A1 subsequent offender charge. There's a $100 fine on the 303C charge. That's $1,600 plus a $125 hearing fee, $1,725. And we are going to suspend this license for 30 days. We are going to give 4 days for time served when this license was deactivated as a result of Mr. Willibus's failure to appear at our hearing. But it's 26 days, and it starts January 1st, and you may reopen on January 27th. If Mr. Charlotte, you're obviously aware of his right to file for review of our administrative hearing decision with the Circuit Court for Baltimore City. We will obviously stay that decision. That's why we are suspending for January 1st through 27th. All right? Thank you very much. We're off the record. And we
Thank you very much.
are not done yet. Sorry. Excited.